Good afternoon, students. A very good afternoon. Now, this video is about the Palmar aponeurosis. I will talk in very short about Palmar aponeurosis, and then I will talk about the fibrous flexor sheath, which is the deep fascia in front of the fingers. Okay, and Palmar aponeurosis is the deep fascia in front of the palm, that is just deep to the skin. Okay, that deep. And then in the applied anatomy of the Palmar aponeurosis, I will talk about the Dupuytren contracture or contraction. Okay, so Dupuytren contracture is a very important applied anatomy of the deep fascia of the palm, which is a frequent short note question. Let us see the orientation of this diagram. Okay, in this diagram, what we see here is that this is the right hand, the palmar aspect, skin has been removed, and what you see is that the carpal bones are there, and in the carpal bones connecting to the lateral and medial side of the carpal bone, this is the flexor retinaculum. Okay, the flexor retinaculum. And flexor, deep to the flexor retinaculum, as you know, that there passes the tendon and the median nerve. Okay, tendons of the fingers, okay, tendons which are going to get attachment onto the digits, okay, fingers. Now, let us see this tendon. This is a Plamaris longus tendon, which is a muscle of the flexor compartment of the forearm. This is a long tendon, thin tendon, Palmaris longus, as it crosses superficial to the flexor retinaculum here, and then just at the distal border of the flexor retinaculum, it all of a sudden it expands. Okay, and this triangular expansion of the tendon of the Palmaris longus is called as the Palmar aponeurosis. So this is the Palmar aponeurosis, and this is the triangular expansion of the tendon. According to some of the authors, this is the deep fascia, okay, especially thickened in the central portion of the palm, okay, which according to other authors, it is a continuation of the Palmaris longus tendon. Now, this is the central deep fascia, and if you see the deep fascia in the swelling at the root of the thumb, what is called as the thinner eminence. This is the thinner eminence, and this is just at the root of the little finger. Okay, it is the hypothinner eminence. But this thinner and hypothinner eminence, which are at the base of the thumb and the little finger, they are not covered by the thick deep fascia, but the deep fascia covering to this ball of muscles, thinner and hypothinner eminence, is thin. Okay, so these are the thin deep fascia covering to the thinner and hypo, but the central portion is very thick, and this is called as Palmar aponeurosis. This Palmar aponeurosis is triangular in shape. If you see the shape, it is triangular, the apex of which lies at the distal border of the flexor retinaculum here, and the base is very close to that of the distal palmar crease. See this. This is the distal palmar crease, and at this crease lies, very close to it lies the base of this triangular Palmar aponeurosis. Okay. Now, it has a medial border. This triangle has a medial border and a lateral border. Thus, there is an apex of the Palmar aponeurosis, there is a base of the Palmar aponeurosis, there is a lateral border, and this one is the medial border. Towards the little finger is medial border, because it will come in anatomical position as the medial border. Right. As this comes, the base comes close to that of the distal palmar crease, or very close to that of the heads of metatarsals bone, metacarpal bones, then it will divide into 4 slabs. Okay, there are 4 slabs which will go towards the medial forefinger, that is for the little finger, the ring finger, the middle finger, and that of the index finger. These 4 slips will go, and at the metacarpophalangeal joint, this slips, each individual slip will divide into 2 further. It will divide into 2, and then you will see that these 2 slips, which are a portion of superficial slip, also goes to the skin under surface and at this crease, okay, that is the crease between that of the palm and the proximal phalanx. To this it is attached. No, forget at this. We are trying to just the deep fascia going in 4 slips, and it goes and further divides into 2 slips each. So there are 2 slips of these 4 slips, okay, and these 2 slips become slips, they become flattened, and they go and get attached to the medial and lateral margin of another deep fascia which is covering to the finger. The deep fascia which is covering in palmar aspect of the finger or the front aspect of the finger is called as fibrous flexor sheath. So what is fibrous flex? It is covering to the fingers, including the thumb also, okay. So this is the covering to the thigh. So this slips of the palmar aponeurosis divides into 4, then each slip divides into further 2, and then the medial and lateral slip of each, okay, they fuse with the margin of, this is the margin of the fibrous flexor sheath, okay, then. So that whatsoever is lying deep to the fibrous flex, this is the palmar aponeurosis. They are the tendons, long tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus. There are the branches of the digital vessels and nerve. So these are just deep to the triangular, this palmar aponeurosis, well protected. So one of the function is to protect the deeper structure. Now deep to this, okay, going inside the tunnel of the fibrous flexor sheath. Let us see this tunnel. I will just show you how this fibrous flexor sheath is attached. This is the deep fascia in front of the fingers, okay. And you see this, the distal phalanx, the middle phalanx, the proximal phalanx, and this is the head of the metacarpal, okay. And this is attached on the sides, okay. This palmar and fibrous flexor sheath is attached to the margin on the lateral and medial aspect, and this form a tunnel, okay. This is the tunnel formed by the fibrous flexor sheath, and in this tunnel on the ventral aspect there goes the 2 tendons. Superficial tendon is flexor digitorum superficialis, and the deep tendon is the flexor digitorum profundus. As you know that flexor digitorum superficially will split, and through this splitted portion the flexor digitorum profundus will go to attach on the distal phalanx, while this will attach onto the middle phalanx superficialis, okay. Now if you cut a section of the proximal phalanx here, this section if you cut, you will see that this is the skin at the proximal phalanx, superficial fascia is there, this is the bone, that is the first phalanx here is there, and then this is that fibrous flexor sheath. This is the fibrous flexor sheath, and deep to this fibrous flexor sheath and to the bone, this space is the osteofibrous tunnel. So this tunnel is osteofibrous tunnel, and through this osteofibrous tunnel, these 2 tendons, superficialis and profundus, okay, flexor digitorum super and flexor digitorum, they are going. Now this tendon and the periphery of the osteofibrous tunnel is surrounded by the synovial membrane, and thus this form a synovial sheath around the tendon and onto the periphery of the first phalanx bone, osteo, and this is under surface of the fibrous flexor sheath, okay. So there is no friction in the movement of the 2 tendons by the 2 tendons. So now you concentrate on this fibroflexor sheath, which at its margin opening, it is just on medial and lateral side, is giving attachment to the 2 slips of ultimately 2 slips for each digit to that of the Palmar aponeurosis slips. Okay, so this Palmar aponeurosis is keeping the fibrous flexor sheath open through this. The nerves, I would say the tendons can go. Okay, these two different tendons can go. This is a description of the Palmar aponeurosis and fibrous flexor sheath. But on the other hand, the medial and lateral surface is covered by the thin deep fascia, covering to the thinner eminence and to that of the hypothinner eminence. Okay, and a septum which is going from the lateral margin to the first metacarpal, and from the medial margin of this border of this flexor retinaculum is going to the first, the fifth metacarpal. Okay, so the first metacarpal and first from the margin a septum is going, which is a different thing. Okay, just remember this fibrous flexor sheath. Coming to the applied importance of this fibrous flexor sheath as well as that of this flexor Palmar aponeurosis. Okay, let us see what is the applied importance of Palmar aponeurosis in continuation with that of the fibrous flexor sheath. Now, this is a Dupuytren contracture. Dupuytren's contracture, and contracture means the shortening, and shortening is because of the contracture of this medial part of the aponeurosis, Palmar aponeurosis medial part, which is going towards the ring finger and towards the little finger get contracted. It get contracted. This is the contracture, then it is transmitted because of the shortening of this lateral part, the medial part of this Palmar aponeurosis will also pull this sheath, that is the fibrous flexor sheath, and this is pulled towards the palm. Okay, and this will lead to the flexion. So how this contracture of the fibrous Palmar aponeurosis will lead to the pull of the fibrous flexor sheath, and there will be thickening and the shortening of the medial half of the fibrous, which will also will lead to the thickening of the fibrous flexor sheath, will also lead to the thickening and the contracture of fibrous flexor sheath. And because of that, there will be a flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint. For example, this is the phalanx, this is the metacarpal. There will be a flexion at the metacarpophalangeal joint. Then there will be a flexion between the proximal and distal phalanx. This is proximal phalanx and distal. So this will also go into proximal and distal phalanx flexion will be like that. But there will be no flexion between the middle and the distal phalanx. Okay, no flexion between middle and distal. So this will lead to the contracture. Most often affected finger is the ring finger and the little finger. Sometimes the middle finger can also be affected. But this is seen only in the ring finger and that of the little finger. So this is flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint and flexion at the middle and between the middle and the proximal phalanx. Okay, so this is like that. This is the flexion and this is, but there is no flexion at the distal interphalangeal joint. Distal. So that is the Dupuytren contraction, and this is a strong contracture. You cannot extend your finger. It will always remain in a contracted condition, and because of that, lot of problem arise. You cannot hold the thing properly, you cannot do the manipulative work. Okay, and sometimes it is seen in both the hands together. Okay, simultaneously it is in the both the hands. Now question comes that why there is a Dupuytren's contracture, why there is a shortening of the collagen fibers, okay, here, which is forming the medial part of the Palmar aponeurosis. Okay, we don't know, the cause is not known, but then it is associated according to some people with some of the systemic disease like that of the diabetes. It is with some of the, I mean to say, chronic alcoholism, when you chronically you drink, okay, the wine, and then it is maybe also due to various other problems, that is some fever, okay, some fever, or it is because of the infection, okay, some because infection, but we don't know. These are the suspicious causes are there, but we exactly don't know why there is a Dupuytren contracture. Then what is the treatment of this contracture? Because it is a serious problem. You are not able to do the normal function with your hands. Okay, surgically this contracture is removed. That means you will cut transversely the fibrous flexor sheath, you will cut transversely the Palmar aponeurosis. That means which are the contracture part of this you can cut, just cut transversely and extend in the finger, which is flex, you just extend, because then pull will not be there, and this will just I mean to say treat the patient. It will treat the patient. So this is the Palmar aponeurosis description of fibrous flexor sheath and its applied importance, Dupuytren contracture. Thank you very much for watching this video.